This week we look at number 7 in our series on themes in the Gospel of John, and this one's entitled Blessed Are Those Who Believe, and we're looking at John 8, John 12, John 19, John 20. There's a lot of material to look through there. You have the story of the debate with the Jewish leaders talking about Abraham and Jesus saying, before Abraham was, I am, and what that means. Then we also have John 12, the anointing of Jesus by Mary, another example of her belief in Jesus, her trust in him. John 19, we have the story of Jesus' trial before Pilate, and clearly that's somebody who does not believe, even though he was given opportunity. And then lastly, John 20 talks about Jesus appearing to his disciple and saying, blessed are those who believe, and even those who haven't known me and yet still believe, just like we do today. That's a very significant statement. But let's go to John chapter 8 and let's see how far we get, because it begins with the story of the woman taken in adultery. That's not part of our lesson for today, but it's a significant story, isn't it? Demonstrating the kind of person God is through the nature of Jesus. When he starts talking to these disbelieving Jewish leaders, he talks about being his own witness. The Pharisees, you can't be your own witness. And Jesus says, even if I am, my testimony is true, and you should believe in me and the Father who sent me. Where's your Father? You don't know me, and so on. Wondering where he's going. Is he going to kill himself, and all the rest of that. And then it says later on in that chapter, when you have lifted up the Son of Man, then you will know that I am the I am, and that I do nothing of myself but only say what the Father taught me. And then it concludes in verse 20, many who heard Jesus say these things put their trust in him, because they recognize in Jesus the I am, the name for God, that this truly was somebody to be trusted. Then Jesus said to those Jews who trusted in him, if you follow my teaching, then you really are my disciples. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Something that we can take very much to heart as well. If we know the truth, it's liberating, sets us free. They come back, these unbelieving Jewish leaders, saying, we're descendants of Abraham. We've never been anyone's slaves. How can you say that we'll be set free? And I have to smile, because have they forgotten that they were slaves in Egypt and that God had to rescue them? The Exodus, if you've completely forgotten about that, when you say things like, we've never been slaves of anyone, isn't that just a little bit bizarre about what they're claiming? Jesus says, I tell you the truth, everyone who sins is a slave to sin, and goes on all about that. I know you're Abraham's descendants, yet you're trying to kill me because you refuse to accept my words. He knew this plot against him. He knew what they were all about. I'm telling you what the Father has revealed to me, while you do what your father told you. And of course, elsewhere he says that you are the father, your father the devil. Abraham is our father, they say. If you really were children of Abraham, you'd do what Abraham did, Jesus told them. But you are trying to kill me now because I told you the truth that I heard from God. Abraham would never have done that. You're doing what your father does, the devil. Well, we're not illegitimate. God alone is our Father. You see, pointing the finger at Jesus yet again. And then right at the end, they say to him, we know you're demon possessed. Abraham died and the prophets did too. And yet you're telling us anyone who follows my teaching will never die. Are you greater than our father Abraham? He died and the prophets died. Who do you think you are? There's the powerful question. And then that's when he says in verse 58, I tell you the truth, before Abraham was, I am. And they recognized what Jesus meant because they picked up stones to stone him. But for them, that was blasphemy. But Jesus was telling the truth. As I say, we haven't got time to go through all those other examples of people who believed. Here we've got the contrast between those who accepted Jesus and those who did not. Let's think about those experiences in the time of Jesus, who he met, what he said, how they responded, and let us respond positively like those who did respond to Jesus' message.